Okay. Right, it's been a whirlwind few days for Ian since the news broke that Phil was leaving the club to take over as chairman of Huddersfield. Literally seconds before we filmed, which threw us both into a bit of a, what do we do next moment. We then had to coordinate the press releases between the two clubs to go out at 8 o'clock, with Ian and the media team taking care of these things on the side of this side of the Pennines. Needless to say, at this point our website crashed as the traffic to the site was so high. We'd like to thank everyone who's taken the time to ask the questions, and we appreciate over the coming weeks there'll be more to come. And to this end, we're hoping to set up a fans forum at the club as soon as we get to a date when yourself, Liam and Steve can be available, and I think that'd be nice just to get everybody together.
Yeah, and Liam and Steve are happy to do that as well.
Lovely. Okay. Do you want to just quickly talk us through the sequence of events that happened on Friday, because it was quite incredible really, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, obviously we were very much hands tied because Phil was in negotiation with Dean at Huddersfield. There was lots of legalities to get in place for Phil. It had all been very much on the basis of an NDA because obviously Huddersfield season was still ongoing. Yeah. There were lots of issues to be determined between Phil and Dean. So we didn't really get the kind of nod to go ahead with this until very much the last minute. And then obviously, there was the coordination with Huddersfield to make sure that the stories broke as close together as we could possibly get it.
Yeah, good. Okay, so it was an interesting day to say the least.
Yes.
Okay, as I say, we've had quite a few questions asked, but the most regular one is about Liam. Is he staying as the manager? And if he is, does this cause a problem if the team isn't performing and he needs to be replaced?
Liam is definitely staying as manager.
Good, yeah.
Absolute full confidence in everything Liam's doing. And how we're moving forward towards next season. Yeah. Plans are well in place with Liam as regards discussions with those contracted players who are going forward with us into next season. Mm-hmm. Liam obviously has got his list of targets and has had for some time. So obviously he's in the process of speaking to all the right people. And we hope to have those all in place in readiness for pre-season, so we can have a good, relaxed pre-season with everyone getting to grips with what we need to do for next season. As regards Liam being both on the board and as manager, the one thing that I know and has become abundantly clear to me from knowing Liam and getting to know him over the last 12 months is that he is absolutely Southport through and through. If the season starts as it did last season, then I know the first person who will be asking questions is going to be Liam himself. Mm-hmm. He was like that beginning of last season. We spoke at length after every game, looking up kind of what was going wrong, and if I'm confident we won't start the same way this next season. Mm-hmm. But if we did, then Liam would be the first one to be questioning what he was doing and how he was doing it. As regards whether or not it would be a problem with Liam being manager and on the board, then no, it wouldn't. I've had long chats with Liam. Liam knows that if things aren't going right on the pitch and we can't discuss it and come to a resolution as to how we move forward, he knows that both Steve and I wouldn't think twice about sacking him if needs be.
Would he feel comfortable about moving upstairs in that situation?
I think so, because again, the benefit for the team and the benefit for the club far outweighs his own personal position, and that comes across when you speak to him. We had long chats obviously before he took the shares and became part of the board. Mm-hmm. And I was in no uncertain terms that would be the case. I think obviously he desperately wants to do well next season. Yeah. And I've got no doubt he's the right man to do that, but again, if it came to the point where Steve and I felt that it was time to sack Liam, I don't think there would be any ill feeling as regards Liam then moving up onto the board and continuing to play a part of board decisions.
He's got a lot to offer the club, hasn't he? Because as you say, he's been there a long time.
He has, and as I say, it's not something we've kind of avoided. We've talked this through, and he also knows that if things aren't going well, I would sack him immediately.
Hard man.
So no, but again, we want we've got a springboard now off the 2 cup wins. We want to move forward and do well in the league next season. And that's the 3 of us. The 3 of us are absolutely desperate to do well. So if things aren't going right, and that's the only logical solution, then Liam knows that that's the solution that we'll take.
Okay. The next one is work on the pitch. Is that still going ahead here?
Yeah, no, definitely. The pitch is our priority number 1. It's something that we're working on every day. I'm working very closely with James on it, who's liaising with the companies who are looking to do the pitch work. Like every project, there have been logistical problems, particularly in relation to the drain which is being built from the pitch down into the brook, and the environmental issues surrounding same. But no, it's definitely very much our project number 1 at the moment. There are a number of potential problems which obviously the club have been looking at over the last 12 months. We are very much prioritising those projects on the basis of the benefit that they have for the club. Now, the pitch is of huge benefit in relation to the ability for the team to play well and do well. And we also have the ongoing contract with Everton, obviously.
That's still in place for next season?
Yeah, no, that's definitely still in place for next season. That's the Everton under-23s. We are hopeful it will also be the Everton ladies again. But a good pitch will help, because obviously what we want is long-term contracts with Everton. Everton have suggested to us that they are absolutely more than happy with everything going on as regards the Merseyvale Community Stadium as it is, but the pitch would really help as regards making those commitments from Everton more long term. But first and foremost, obviously, you know, we've all seen from recent games, you know, I'm thinking Kes and I'm thinking Bolton, we can all see how well the team can play on a really good pitch.
It's been very noticeable, hasn't it?
Yeah,
and those 2 games that you mentioned.
Yeah, and although the pitch was always our priority kind of for the last 12 months, you know, even more so on the back of that.
Yeah, good. You talked briefly there about the pitch is the priority for getting that done this season. Are there any other plans for close season? That I know there was talk, but have we scaled back some of those, do you think, just to take stock of where we're up to, sort of thing?
We're prioritising the pitch to make sure it gets done. Once the pitch gets done, and in line with our discussions on Friday about kind of working within the means of the club, we'll be looking at each and every project as we come to it on a you know, what best benefits the club basis. You know, for example, as soon as we've got the pitch in place and we're kind of making strides with the pitch, we'll be looking at the toilets next, because we know that another big part of the community element of the club is obviously the match day experience, and the toilets, both inside and out, are the one common factor where we get complaints. So we'll get the pitch done. We'll move on and then look at the toilets. We are kind of looking at the toilets and getting quotes in the meantime. We just want to concentrate on the pitch. Get the toilets done, and then we can look at what other projects are up and running and needed at the club. And again, what we don't want to do is we don't want to take away kind of from what's happening on the pitch for the sake of projects for the sake of projects. You know, we want it to be a good balance between projects that are benefiting the club and getting right on the pitch.
I think a lot of people have come back to us and said it's important that the on the pitch factor is the thing, because that's what gets people in at the end of the day, isn't it?
There's been a lot of plans. There's been a lot of plans for the last kind of 18 months, and there's been lots of potential projects, and there's been a lot going on. You know, from kind of the second we started the work on the main stand, there's been a lot going on. This season we would like what's happening on the pitch to be the priority. And you know, if that's going well, and if there's projects we can do that run alongside that which don't take the kind of attention away from what's happening on the pitch, then we'll look at them.
Do you think we are going to be competitive on the pitch? Is the budget going to be there for Liam to be competitive?
I genuinely don't think that's an issue, because we know we've got 12 players contracted full time going into next season. You know, even if we wanted to, we would struggle to get away from that because they are contracted for the next 12 months. We've made sure that the budget enables that to continue, and more so because obviously Liam is now going to have to increase that squad by he's got options. Obviously, he can go looking at loan players again, as he did with Liam, Marcus, Regan, Matty, because they worked well this season. But they have to be the right loans. We don't kind of want players. Again, we're avoiding that revolving door we talked about on Friday. We want players who are going to come in, commit,
be with us a longer term, just a month in, month out.
But at the same time, as I said, Liam already has his list of targets. He knows who he wants to go out and get, and there's no point in him doing that on the basis of going out and looking for part-time players whilst we've got full-time 12 contracted players. So we've made sure that the budget is more than competitive. It has to be for the next 12 months because we've got the core of a full-time team anyway.
So one of the questions was, are we staying with the same training arrangements full-time and at SCEM? Is that going to continue as we are, or
training arrangements? We are stepping up, if anything, because I've been impressing on Liam the need to get across to the players that full-time is full-time. So we'll be increasing the hours that the players are training each week. And yes, we are looking at remaining at Skelmersdale for the near future.
It seems to be working well, doesn't it? It's convenient for the players to travel to.
It's great. It's great for them because it's their own base. It's their own base. There's no kind of distractions. They've got all the facilities there. Martin Gilchrist has been great in allowing us to continue to kind of use that very much as our own. And that's how we intend to proceed over the next at least 6 months.
One of the things was mentioned initially that we were looking at a new training ground somewhere within Southport. Because SCEM's working so well, is that put on the back burner for now?
Yes, because Skelmersdale is working so well, but also because, again, we go back to our need to prioritise. We've had a last pre-season was hectic to say the least with the build of the stadium. I think one of the key words going into this next 12 months is stability. We really want everything to kind of gel together, stabilise on and off the pitch. We want to give the team, and again going back to our conversation Friday, we've not had a situation since I've been here where we've gone into the pre-season with that core of players. We want to give them that kind of stabilised environment to prepare well for next season. Skelmersdale does that. It gives us that, and then as regards new training facilities, to be frank, they're kind of down the list of priorities at the moment because we want to get things right for next season. Let's get the pitch done, let's look at the toilets, let's look at more pressing need and projects for the next 12 months. And the training pitch is always there in the background, but this 12 months we want to concentrate on what's happening on the pitch.
Good. Okay. You talked in your first interview about the aim to become self-sufficient, and any ideas what else we can do? What sort of plans do you think we could put in place? Are more people likely to join the board to give us more investment on that area?
I mean, there's no kind of, we're not drawing a line under the board.
No.
We're not saying, right, it's Steve, Liam and I, that's it, full stop. If there were investors who want to get involved, I don't know how kind of able or not they've been to do that in the past.
They've never been forthcoming particularly, have they? So
no, and I think that's the issue. If someone came to me tomorrow and said, right, I'm a kind of lifelong Southport fan, I've got this money to invest, can I get involved? Then we would never say no. Because obviously the more people with the ability to invest and help the club, the more we can get put into the team, into the projects. It's very much a kind of individual basis that if someone came forward, Steve, Liam and I would meet them, talk it through, check them out as it were. What are their intentions, how can they help the club, and are they good for their promise more than anything. If the right people came forward, then by all means, as I say, there's no line drawn under the three of us.
No.
We can see who could benefit the club and how.
Yeah. One of the other things people are asking is a bit about Steve Porter.
Yeah.
I think because you called him Stephen, that threw everybody.
I know. I was being polite.
And it's come with this Steve Porter. Most people know he was director previously,
Yeah.
and he's been involved with the club for a long time. I know Steve's quite keen to get together with us all and have this fans forum. Is there anything you'd like to add about Steve?
No, I mean, Steve from day one, from the minute I walked into the club, was absolutely, you can't kind of underestimate the help that he gave as regards how the club runs from a day-to-day basis. The history of the club, the main people involved at the club, the main volunteers. He's got such a wealth of knowledge about the club that I kind of tap into it on a daily basis before we even thought about him becoming a director. I've got no surprise that he was involved with Charlie in the past on the board. And whenever we go to away games, the directors at every other away team, Steve is the first person they kind of move towards. You ask him any question at all, from kind of the running of the mowers at Skelmersdale through to kind of hospitality at Hague Avenue, he's the man to ask. So when he indicated that he would be interested in taking some of the shares from Phil, it was an absolute no-brainer. To have someone like that on the board who has just got that wealth of knowledge about the club generally, but about the day-to-day running of everything to do with the club. That's fantastic. And then when you see kind of, as I say, the respect that opposition directors have for him, then there's obviously there's no doubt that he can be of huge benefit to the club.
Good.
And as I say, he's always the first person that I ring if I've got any questions or anything that I need to know.
Good. Okay. Now you're going to think this next one's from me, but it's one that's been asked several times, and I know we've discussed it in the past about the cashless turnstiles. What's your view on that, Ian?
We've actually got a board meeting this week, and one of the proposals is to reintroduce a cashless turnstile at each end. The ticketless system that we have in place is great for helping the club for kind of organisational purposes, leading up to each Saturday. It's great logistically, and it was really good for us to try that out and see how it worked, because it showed we can do it. First and foremost, everything has the odd hiccup, but once we got over that and not allowing you to tell me about the delays in the first few games and shout at me for that, but once we got over that, the ticketless system does work really well. It's convenient for the majority of the fans. It helps us logistically, and is kind of clearly the way forward. That said, we've tried it for 12 months. There's without doubt an element of fans who do prefer to pay cash on the day. And I think it would be remiss of us not to factor them in moving forward for the next 12 months. So I think if we can have, certainly my proposal to the board when we meet would be that if we can have one cash turnstile at each end, then hopefully we're keeping everyone happy. Those who like to buy tickets online can still do so. It will help the club immensely if they can.
We need to push that, don't we? Give people the option there.
But at the same time, recognising the fact that not everyone can or wants to use that system, if we now put one cash turnstile in place, then hopefully we're keeping everyone happy. And as I say, our aim moving forward is looking at the match day experience, and if there are things that we can do to help that match day experience, then we'll listen.
I know you've spoken to me many times over the last season. You're always willing to listen to feedback from fans, aren't you?
Definitely.
I think that's something we want to progress, don't we?
It's great. It's great that I can go home and away, and lots of fans will come and talk to me and tell me what's good and tell me what's bad. And the more that happens, the better. And again, Steve particularly is great at that, because he talks to absolutely everyone and anyone. And Liam, Liam takes on board when people talk to him. And everything that kind of can get fed back to us is something for us to look at, to work on. And again, it all comes back to making the match day experience better. If we can do that and attract more fans, then everyone's happy.
And we're winning. That always helps, doesn't it?
Which takes us back to our priority.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, which is where it should be. Okay. Just quickly about the community angle of the club. There's quite a lot. I know I'm involved in quite a few things. Hopefully the sporting memories and the ground tours and dementia groups that we're hoping to have, and the elderly groups. Anything else you'd like to see? We've got a community officer coming in shortly.
Yeah, no, we've as I say, we've had some really good CVs. I want to appoint. I mean, obviously, it got taken over a bit by the Phil announcement. I want to appoint a community officer as quickly as possible, because we are working closely with the National League to have that position funded anyway, and to help us with funding all the projects. And you know, I really want the community officer to hit the ground running, with the concentration being on the sporting projects to do with the club.
Yes.
You know, if we can prioritise, and I know, as I say, the better of the CVs that I've looked at have all got that kind of emphasis anyway. They are people who have lots of sporting background, but also very close ties to the club. And I want to be able to tie the community projects in so that everyone can immediately understand how that project could benefit both the community and the club. Because we you know, there's lots and lots of potential projects out there that can benefit just the club or can benefit just the community. I think for the next 12 months, the key has got to be combining the two for that community officer. You know, the likes of the sport and memories, the links there are obvious, and you know, the kind of the projects aimed at healthy children around the area of the club. But we really need to be pushing them now, you know, and maybe instead of looking at kind of 9, 10, 12 different community projects, if we can really concentrate on 5 or 6 that benefit in both the club and the community, then we can expand, then we can grow from there. And I think that's how we move forward with that.
Good, excellent, okay. Is there anything else you would like to say at this point to the supporters of Southport?
No, I mean, again, I think communication is key at the moment. You know, the interview on Friday, I did kind of hijack you last minute.
Just about.
And, you know, I think it's really key this summer that we do have the forums. We do get talking to everybody, because Phil has been fantastic for the club for the last 18 months. You know, and no one can doubt kind of his drive and the fact that he backed that up on each occasion. You know, the pitch is a great example of that, because obviously the pitch is something that Phil really wanted to do. And the Football Foundation are providing us with a grant for a good proportion of the cost of the pitch. And Phil had always promised the club that he would pay the balance. Now, nothing has changed there, despite the fact that he's left and gone to Huddersfield. He's still completely on board, and is still adamant that pitch is to be done and needs to be done. But what the fans need to kind of understand is that with Phil leaving, there's not going to be kind of any lack of drive from Liam, Steve and myself. You know, we want to be moving on with the projects that we can. We want to be putting all the emphasis on what's happening on the pitch, and we want to be getting the feedback from everyone as to what is working and what isn't. So yeah, we will have forums. I intend to sit down with TIY as well, and as soon as possible, so that we can kind of really re-establish the bonds with TIY, look at projects that they've got in the offing, and how the club can work with TIY. You know, I'm regularly in contact with John, Kaylee, Noel, everyone at TIY, as regards moving that forward. I want to sit down with TIY, because I imagine that TIY members will have a number of questions as well, which you know, I can do similar with them. And again, this summer it's kind of it's bringing it all back together, so that we can really kind of move into next season with an air of of confidence that we've done everything that we can to pave the way for Liam and the team to perform on the pitch. We really want kind of a feel of everyone in it together, and if there are issues or questions that people have that they think may be in the way of that, then
come and
get
ask
in touch. Steve, Liam and I are going to be around the ground a lot this summer. We'll certainly be kind of at any pre-season friendlies, and as I say, we'll get these forums in place, at the club, with TIY, whichever way we can, so that we can really kind of talk everything through.
Lovely. Okay. I think we all owe a big debt to Phil, don't we? He has brought a different sphere to the club over the last 18 months, like you say, and I think a lot of supporters say, can we make sure we express a massive big thank you to Phil for all he's done.
And we've got to kind of look at where we were 18 months ago, to where we are now, and again, the ability that Phil coming on board has given us to really get moving with each of those projects, and more importantly those goals. It was the goal for Phil and I from day one to kind of get the club to this level of self-sufficiency, regardless of how much money we were putting in at the time to get there. We wanted the club to be self-sufficient. Without the input from Phil to enable us to do that with the main stand, we wouldn't be even close. Again, kind of the input as regards the pitch and the financing for the pitch allows us to enter into those contracts with Everton, which again is a massive boost each season, when we're looking at the finances. And just to enable the team to be full-time this season and going into this season again, owes a lot to those systems and that we've put in place as regards the bar, the hospitality, the events, the increase in interest in commercial sponsorship that has come about over the last 12 to 18 months.
Because the profile's been risen up because of that.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, thanks for taking the time to answer the questions, Ian. As Ian has said, if anybody has got further questions, they can send them into any of us at the club. We'll collect them all together. I'm sure we'll be doing another one of these in due course. But we've also got the forums planned, and we can use those as the vehicle.
Sure.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Ian.